Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. If you will enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments to help me boost this video. Thanks. Story 1. Had yelled at by two older ladies to the point of tears. So, I work at a regional grocery store chain as a cashier, and this morning I was ringing an old lady up. She was very pushy and demanding during her order, but I just ignored that, since a lot of customers are like that. But when I got to the end of her order, she asked what her total was, and I read it to her, and she said she couldn't hear me. So I raised the volume of my voice a bit, and she said she still couldn't hear me, and actually started making fun of me for having a quiet voice. It's worth noting that I have a lung condition that makes it physically difficult and painful to raise my voice. So I tried one last time to raise my voice a bit more so that she could hear me, and it makes my voice come out sounding strange since it's physically painful for me to do so. And then she just kinda stops and stares at me for a second and then goes, "You know, I don't think you're supposed to talk to your customers like that, young lady." And the lady in line behind her, a middle-aged lady who just showed up right as this was happening, goes, "Yeah, no, that was super uncalled for. I didn't like that. It was hostile." And I'm legitimately super confused and startled, because I genuinely didn't mean for it to come out that way and didn't even think it came out that way at all. I didn't yell or act snippy or anything. I just spoke up a bit louder in a genuine attempt to get her to hear me. And I tried to explain myself and apologize, basically. "I'm really sorry if that came across as rude, ma'am. I promise I didn't mean it that way. I have a problem with my lungs that makes raising my voice painful, and I really apologize if my tone sounded curt. I really didn't mean it." And she just looks at me and goes, "Oh, gee, well, I'm sorry for being alive. I mean, wow, sorry I bothered you, right?" Super sarcastically, and rolls her eyes at me. And the lady behind her backs her up, glaring daggers at me, going, "Yeah, no, that wasn't okay. That was really wrong. Seriously, what is your issue?" And the two of them keep ganging up on me and telling me off like that for a while, and treating me like I'd just slapped the older lady across the face or something, and I can't help it and just start tearing up and crying right there. Only then do they both stop, and it's like they both suddenly realized they were talking to an actual human being with emotions, because they both immediately backed off, started apologizing, promised not to tell my manager, and tried to reassure me. It's just, do people like those two forget they're talking to people when it comes to retail workers? Or do they just not care until they have to see the consequences of what they say and do? Story 2. Today a customer got annoyed, abandoned his shopping on my till belt, and just walked out ... and I felt for the guy. So this happened earlier today. I was on till serving, as were a couple of others. It was busy, so there were a few of us on the tills. As the number of people started to dwindle, the till in front of me closed down and was serving the last few customers, who already had shopping on her belt. I had been serving for a good few minutes afterwards, and started closing down too when I noticed the number of people on at the till in front of me hadn't changed. There were two people left, a guy who had a few bits and an elderly woman who was in front of him. The elderly woman was trying to use a coupon that, for whatever reason, was simply not working, but was adamant about using it. I couldn't hear the details, but let's be honest, ... the lyrics may change a bit, but the dance is always the same. At this point I had nearly served everyone who was left on my belt, and I honestly felt bad for the guy who, at this point, must have been stood waiting 10 minutes or more. I managed to catch his eye, smiled, and gestured for him to come over to my till. He smiled back, picked up his couple of items, and put them on my belt. I only had one customer left before I could serve him. "Those are an offer," demands the woman I was serving, pointing at her bakery items. "Those are buy two, get one free." "I know they are. Sorry, but I'm pretty sure those are not the items on offer." "Yes, they are. I saw the sign. I know those are the ones on offer. I'll get someone to check for you." A minute passes, and I get informed that her baked goods are in fact ... not on offer. She doesn't say anything, so that'll be. "What about those? I know there's an offer for them." She's now pointing at some other food items. "Get someone to check them too. I know they're on offer." I'm only part way through asking someone to now check for another offer when the guy who I had beckoned across mutters something under his breath and just promptly walks out the store, leaving his shopping behind. As he left, I saw the elderly woman still at the till in front of me, now with a manager there too. Even though I knew I was going to have to put his shopping back, I honestly felt for the guy. Oh, and in case anyone was wondering, none of the items the lady at my till bought were on offer. Story 3. Woman refused to be proved wrong. Diamond specialist here. Had this woman come in to get her ring cleaned and polished that was not from my privately owned business. Told her if she wanted it cleaned, I would need to take it in the back to the high-pressure steam cleaner to get all the junk out of it. Lotions, conditioners, makeup, daily wear and tear, blah blah blah. Said she was perfectly fine with that, as I told her it could take up a few minutes. Come back out with a brand new looking engagement ring because it was actually clean. Automatically asks for a jeweler's loupe to inspect her diamond. Graciously hand her one and said no problem. Here starts the thorough inspection of her diamond. Huff and puff multiple times. Flip the hair. Turn the loupe around. There is no difference between sides on a jeweler's loupe. I ask her if she would like me to show her how to use the loupe. She snaps at me and says clearly she knows how to use one. She absolutely did not. Distance from the eye to loupe is about 1 inch. Distance from the loupe to piece is another inch. Give or take your depth perception. You switched my diamond, she proclaimed. I continued to say excuse me. She claimed I switched out her diamond, to which I'm baffled at this point. Demanding to speak to authority, I said you're speaking to one. Saying it looks wrong, and this wasn't the diamond she purchased. So on and so forth. Tried reasoning with her until I had to get very blunt. I'm assuming you don't know how this works. For me to switch out a diamond, and a mark-wise shape at that, I would have had to know your exact dimensions of the diamond before you came in here. Your diamond isn't from here, but I said I would clean it for free for you. Now you're accusing me of switching out your diamond within 2-3 minutes, when it would have taken me at least 10 minutes to even try and find a stone that had your same exact dimensions. Because if it didn't, I would have had to change the head of your diamond to hold a different sized stone, which requires a jeweler's torch, putting on a new one, and then cleaning your ring to perfection to dip into the rhodium. All of that alone would have taken me a solid 45 minutes. Rhodium is $20,000 plus per oz right now. And if you think I'm going to contaminate a batch of rhodium on your ring to maybe profit $1,000 on switching out your stone is absurd. Kindly take your ring back to where you bought it from to have them confirm with you that indeed it's still your diamond. And do not ask for me to service your ring ever again, she huffed and puffed and walked out. Got a call later from her husband apologizing, saying that he heard the story and it was her diamond. Educate yourself before you accuse a professional of theft, bitch. Story 4. Then I guess it won't stay soft. Okay, so the company I work for sells women's clothing, and there's a section that's specifically made for loungewear, and it's known for being super soft. Here's the issue, which is not new for clothes in general. It doesn't stay as soft as when you first buy it. From my experience working there for over a year now, it retains the softness longer as long as you don't put it in the dryer. And that's exactly what I tell people when they ask, does it stay soft? This is understood for the most part. There's 2 reactions. Oh, okay, cool, I can do that, or, oh well, that sucks then. I'm saying all of this because this one annoyed me more than it should have. A woman comes in, sees the section of soft loungewear, immediately loves it, and goes, oh, but does it stay this soft forever? I say from my experience, it stays fairly soft as long as you air dry it instead of putting it in the dryer. She then says, oh no, I put all my clothes in the dryer. I never air dry. Me okay. Silence as she stares at me. Customer, is there any other way to keep it soft? Me, I mean maybe the dry cleaners, no some. Customer, oh no, I never take my clothes to the dry cleaners. I do my own laundry. Me, getting annoyed, all right. Customer, is there a technique to keep it soft? The only one I'm aware of is to let it air dry. Customer, that's not happening. Then I guess it won't stay soft. Maybe I'm just easily annoyed, but this conversation just irritated me way more than it should have. Story 5. Today a customer broke his item in half and threw it on the floor. BC, he couldn't return it. I work in a second-hand store, not in the US, and we have a policy that we don't do returns or exchanges. We have notes all over the store saying that, and the receipt clearly states it too. Today, when I was working the register, a man in his late 40s came up to me with a vinyl record and wanted to return it because he already had another copy of it at home. It had cost him a little less than $3 divided by $3 when he bought it from us. I said, unfortunately, we don't do returns or exchanges. And he exploded. The look on his face was fascinating. He got completely red, eyes widened, his jaw dropped to the floor, and smoke would shoot out of his ears if it could. At first he asked what we would do if the record was broken, because all of a sudden the record had a scratch at the end, even though just a second ago that wasn't why he wanted to return it. I answered that we are unable to try the vinyls before we sell them and can only go by the quality of the record itself. That apparently just made it even worse, and he yelled, "You are making me so fucking angry. How about this then?" and broke the record in half in front of me. When it didn't completely break, he then did it again, over his leg this time. Then he threw it on the floor and stormed out yelling about how much we sucked. Why is grown people acting worse than a 4-year-old over $3 when it's their own mistake, lol? Well, at least I never have to see him again. I got support from other customers while he threw the tantrum, so at least I had people there to roll my eyes with. Story 6. You are too expensive to fire. When I sold cars, we had a really nice showroom with large glass windows. One day I was tasked with moving a powerful V8 sports car, which was in the showroom. I was supposed to reverse the vehicle into position. However, the floor had just been mopped. I put the car as what I thought was reserve manual transmission. When I started to let up the clutch, I felt the wheels slip. So I thought, floor is slippery, just give it a little bit more. I give it a little bit more, and the car launches forward into the large glass pan. Thank God it was a hard top. When this happened, I freaked, let go of the clutch, and the car had enough power to break the glass pane. This was right before opening. The glass pane was massive, that extended maybe 20 feet wide, and 20 feet tall maybe. I'm not sure, it was fucking big. This all right before opening on a Saturday. I get called into the GM office, who asks me for the facts. I tell him what happened. He asks me if I'm okay with doing a breathalyzer. I agree. I hadn't been drinking that morning or the day prior to I passed. He said, well, you're sober, so that's good. I go, yeah, I am. This was just an incredibly dumb mistake. He goes, yeah, ... it was. I ask, so ... am I fired? He laughs. You are too expensive to fire now. I ask, what do you mean? He goes, do you know how much it's going to cost me to replace the glass pane? I go, a lot, I imagine. He laughs, yea, probably more the car you used to drive through it with. I go, oh wow. So I go, so I'm not fired. He goes, oh hell no, I know you will never ever do that again. From now on you're in charge of moving cars inside the showroom. Now get back to work. And I went back to work. I personally refused to move cars in the showroom for about a month or so. Eventually I started doing it again and did not have another accident. Story 7. Lorraine. We all have horror stories. I want to switch it up and fill you all with love, mobile, etc. When I worked for a lovely cosmetic company in a lovely department store, we had this wonderful lady who would come in every few months to get her beauty cream. But that is not all she would do. She baked bread and made rugs for the Lord. Her words, not mine. Take it as you will. It is a part of the story and has nothing to do with any affiliation to people's beliefs. Every time she came in, she would hand over at least 6 loaves of delicately prepared bread. We're talking all types, banana, fruit, spice, etc. If you told her anything, she would bring it the next time and would never take a dime for them. Her rugs were elegance and were charged as such. I wish I had gotten one. But being a retail worker on what seems less than minimum wage, I could not spare payment on such beauty because bills must be paid. Eventually, poor Lorraine could not drive herself. She was getting to her 90 seconds. So, whenever we had a big promotion with good deals, I would call her. I would love to come in, but I have to wait for my son to bring me, and I'm not sure when that will be. Lorraine, you're wonderful, and even though I'm not allowed, I will bring this to you. She happily agreed. So every few months, I would call, see how she was on her product. I'm literally lying here. I would call her about once a week to check on her. Don't judge me, she's an amazing person. And every few months, I would deliver what she needed. She was always so happy and greeted me at the door. I would call her when I left work so she knew when to expect me. And every single time, she would offer me tea and tell me stories and was just so elated. My heart was always so full when I left. It was always hard to leave. And in the bad winter months, she would always offer me to stay in her home. She was the most amazing person I've met. I want to be her. I cried when I didn't hear from her and saw the obituary. I think of her so very often, and the kindness she spread will always resonate in me. Sharing her story in hopes to keep her alive forever. Rip Lorraine. I strive to be the amazing person you were. Be like Lorraine. Story 8. I didn't say you were lying, sir. I said you were mistaken. This happened a few days ago. I wanted to post it the day of but wasn't feeling well. Anyway, quick preface. The box store I work has a new process of applying veteran discounts. For those of you who haven't heard, all veterans with smartphones who want their discounts must register their status either on the company website or app. It requires their names, branch they served, if they're active, retired, discharge date, and birthday. When it's done, they get a QR code that gets scanned to apply the discount. The code can't be screenshot, as it refreshes randomly every hour, so it can't be shared. Some of us take the time to help the less tech-savvy folks get situated. Trust me, we don't like it either, but we need our jobs more than we need to appease everyone. Thankfully, I've had many appreciative people express their thanks to me for being patient enough to guide them and make it simple. I get the occasional anal orifices here and there, but I tell them the polite version of if you don't want to do it, either pay full price or buy it elsewhere. There is no third option. We used to just visually check the ID. As for validity, but let's just say too many bad people ruined it for everyone. Namely certain folks using their veteran discount for their own companies, or companies they worked for, which is not allowed, as the discount is only for the veterans' personal purchases. Some even got hostile when they were told they can't combine their veteran discount with their rewards account discounts, as they're not combinable. It's against policy. In the 2 years I've been at this job, I've seen 2 men get arrested because they got violent with my staff. One almost punched a manager until our secret security guy, who was trying to get him to leave, grabbed him from behind. I never thought hearing a grown man scream from his arm getting twisted could be so glorious. Moving on, our competitor Other Box Store gives veteran discounts when the customers show their IDs and give their phone numbers. That's going to change soon, as that company will also be going by the new method to keep everyone honest. We get plenty of people who scoff at our new veteran discount policy and threaten us by saying they're going to Other Box Store instead. My coworkers and I low-key laugh, because that's like telling us there's free food in the break room. One less rude person to deal with, we say. All caught up. Cool. So I was watching self-checkout and went to help an elderly woman buying spray paint age-restricted item. She was very nice and chatted a bit while I scanned her items for her. I didn't have to, but just wanted to be polite. And a heavyset guy waves me over for help. I excuse myself and bid her a great day. I asked the guy how I can help him, and he says he wanted to apply his veteran discount but was having trouble. So I asked what I ask everyone. Have you registered your veteran status on our site? Big guy, what? I have my ID. Right here. He shows it to me. My phone number is. I explained how the policy changed and what he had to do, but he interrupted me. Big guy, no, I don't have to do that. Just type in my number like last time. We don't go by phone number, sir. Other Box Store does. I can help you register. Big guy, I didn't have to do that last time. Just do your thing. Put my phone number in and give me my discount. I do it all the time when I come here, so why won't you do it? I swapped my friendly tone for the lukewarm neutral. You're mistaken, sir. We've never gone by phone number. We used to check ID. But then, big guy, the fuck? You calling me a liar? WTF is your problem? Me, unfazed since I'm not the problem here. I didn't say you were lying, sir. I said you were mistaken. As I said, Other Box Store goes by number. We go by the QR code you get when you register your veteran status online. At this point, big guy is raising a stink, using every cuss word imaginable, insulting me, whatever. I already shut off my humanity at this point, and just stood there watching this angry ape of a man turn an interested beet red color. When he was done banging his vocal cords, I said in a slightly kinder voice, "I'll get a manager for you. Big guy, you suck at your job. I bet you don't even know who your manager is." Side note, I've worked a good while at this company, and I love to make goodies for my coworkers once in a while to show my appreciation for them. Because of those two things, not only do I know who my manager, everyone who works in the store knows me. Hard to forget that one nice coworker who brings everyone homemade treats just because. It took no time for a manager to show up since one of the cashiers already called. Manager shows up and asks, "What's up?" Big guy goes ape mode again, calling me all sorts of rather discolored things, including a liar when I tried explaining the veteran discount thing. Manager tells him what I said was correct, and that we have never given veteran discounts through phone numbers, and that the other store did. Big guy wasn't having it, and dug his heels in so deep, I was surprised he didn't fall over. 3 male customers at the other checkout defended me, saying I wasn't rude at all, and the shorter one said he was amazed I stood there, and, in his words, took it like a boss while this hulk of witch roared at me. Not gonna lie, that made me laugh. Big guy kept saying I called him a liar. Again, shorter male customer told him, "Homber, she said you were mistaken. That doesn't mean lying. You're the one lying, making up all that BS. Just now, we all heard you." The elderly woman I helped blew my mind when she said, "You're in a hole for bullying retail workers. They have it hard enough. This girl was nothing less than nice, and you ST all over her kindness. Shame on you." Hearing an old woman cuss will never not be hilarious. Kinda warmed my heart to see strangers sticking up for me. The manager told the customer he didn't appreciate big guy harassing his employee, and told him to leave. A cherry on top of this whole thing, big guy said he could prove I was lying about the phone number bit. This guy actually pulled out a receipt dated the day before from the last time he shopped here. And lo and behold, the receipt was from other box store. Big guy went silent. The manager turned to see the receipt, and then to the guy. All the manager said was, "So, are you leaving voluntarily, so should I have the police give you a ride somewhere?" With that, big guy hurried out empty-handed without a word or glance at anyone. The manager asked if I was okay. I was, just annoyed. He said he appreciated me keeping my cool with him and gave me a fist bump. He also said thanks for the cupcakes I made on Mother's Day since he gave one to his pregnant wife, and said she loved it. I thanked the 3 customers who came to my defense. The shorter one gave me a fist bump, and said how he knew what it was like to be bullied on the job, and how he had a young daughter who dealt with it at her job. It was to show you not all heroes wear capes. Some wear paint-stained clothes, safety vests, or thick boots. Some even wear orthopedic loafers and pearl earrings.